Hello everyone, it is me, Beth Golden. I am so happy that you're joining me today. Thank you so much. I am going to be showing you how to use a stencil 5 different ways. And the stencil that I'm going to use, just to keep it simple and to show how cool it is and the different types of backgrounds you can get and effects, I'm just going to use this stencil. I'm not going to mix it up. I was thinking about it, but I decided that it was probably better if I just use this stencil. So I'm going to create a whole bunch of backgrounds, well, 7 backgrounds and 5 cards today. And I'm going to be using this by Prima. And then I'm going to be using this stamp set. It's the stamp of the month, the May stamp set from Close to My Heart. It's To My Besties. And so I have already stamped those images off, and I'll show you at the end what I did on each card with the stamped images and how I kind of jazzed them up a little bit. So let's go ahead and just jump into our first technique. The first technique, you are going to need Deco foil transfer gel. If you don't have this, you can find it. I have all the supplies listed down below, and I usually have a better time finding it online than I do in my store. Not saying that I can't, but usually that's the case. So you're just going to take a piece of white cardstock, and I'm not worried about my card size right now. I will go ahead and cut it down after. And you're just going to place it on top of your cardstock. And you're going to kind of like frost a cake with it. You really want it to get down into all of the little crevices and whatnot. If it goes over, it's totally fine because, like I said, we will cut it down after. So it's going to go on like this, and you want to get a really nice coverage. So I like to go over it one way, and then I'll go over it another way, just to make sure that I really got that gel down into those spaces, into that stencil. And then I just take and I wipe up the excess because you can use it for later. And I'm going to set it aside to dry. Usually when I do this, I will create 3 or 4 backgrounds at a time because, you know, there is the drying on it. Then you're just going to want to remove it rather quickly so it doesn't dry on the stencil. You do want to clean your workspace rather quickly as well because it is permanent when it dries. And then you're left with this image like so. So once this dries, it'll get a nice, clear, glossy finish to it that looks like this. And I'm going to show you what to do to foil it and get a beautiful background. Once you have this glossy, clear, dry, transferred gel down, we're going to go ahead and run it through a laminator. I am using the Deco Foil Pink Quartz. This was given to me at Creativation, I believe at the Meet Me in the City event or the Prime event. So anyway, I do like their stuff, and you know, you can find it pretty much anywhere. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of copy paper. You're going to fold it over. This is just a scratch piece of copy paper. You are going to take your beautiful foil and you're going to lay it down like so. Ooh, I got 2 there. You only want 1. You're going to lay it over your image. You can go ahead and cut it down if you want, but you're just going to lay it down over your image, and then you're going to slip it into your folded piece of paper like so, and that beautiful gloss is going to be facing you. I'm going to trim this down just a bit. Okay, so I have my the substrate I'm going to foil on, my foil with a beautiful shine looking up at me in a folded piece of scratch paper. And you're just going to take it through your laminator. You do not need a special laminator for this. I know that there's some pretty ones out there, but I really like my Scotch because I can find everything I need for it at Walmart, Staples, Joann's, anywhere, and that's what I like about it. Plus, I think I bought this with my 40% off coupon for 20 bucks at Joann's. So I'm a big advocate of just buying the basic laminator, unless you want it super pretty, but I really don't care about that. Okay, so it goes through once, and then I'm going to send it through one more time. Now, I have to tell you that as I was creating this in my head, I had a color scheme, and as I started to put together my little stamped images, my color scheme went out the window, so my cards may be very, very interesting when it's all said and done, because I wanted to keep them with like beautiful pinks and mauves and grays, and I got some red and some green and some yellow and some blue and purple in there, so it's going to be interesting. So once this goes ahead and runs through, you're going to give it a minute just to cool down before you take it off. And the cool thing with Scotch is you'll heat this up and you'll wait until that says ready, but it won't stay on forever. Eventually it will turn off as a safety precaution. So only get your laminator heated up when you are getting close, about 10 minutes out from when you actually want to use it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off so it can cool down. And then we are going to remove this, and I am left with this beautiful background. Isn't that so pretty? So definitely transfer gel and your gorgeous foil. And, you know, don't throw this away. I can go and lay out some transfer gel on a black piece of paper, just real smooth with that spatula, slap this on there, and then I have another background that's absolutely gorgeous as well. So I never throw my my foil away. I use it up to the end. The second technique that I want to show you is using modeling paste, but not just modeling paste. I want to tint it. I want to make it a certain color. And there are a couple different ways that you can do that. You can do that with powdered pigmented like Color Burst or the shimmer powder by Nuvo, but I'm going to be using this ink by Colorbox Blends 2 and Tutu. And so all you have to do is, first of all, you want to get your stencil ready to go on your piece of paper. And then you're just going to remove some of that ink from, some of the modeling paste from your jar. And then you are going to take and add your pigment. Now, this is a liquid pigment. That is quite a bit that I added, actually. This is a liquid pigment, and so it may cause the texture to be a little bit different, but I really like, this is my favorite liquid type ink to do this technique with, because it really doesn't affect it like other mediums would. So this is a real nice one. And like I said, I added quite a bit. I really could have got away with just 2 drops. I got to talking and went a little bit crazy on that. So yeah, this is Tutu, and this is just some modeling paste. And then once you get it to your desired liking, you're just going to once again do like you did with the transfer gel and just frost that cake. It does have a sour cream consistency to it. And what I like about modeling paste is that it will hold those peaks really nicely, give you nice crisp lines for the most part. It's pretty fantastic stuff. Now I have so much here, I'm going to go ahead and run another one like this over another background because I don't want to waste that and I can't put it back into my modeling paste jar. But let me show you what this is like once you take this up. And again, you're going to want to wash this fairly quickly, all of your material, because it will dry and it will be permanent. So look how pretty that is. So we're going to wait for that to dry, and then let's move on to our third technique. The third technique is one that we probably all have done, which is to paint through a stencil. And I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a twist on this, and I'm going to do it the Dylusions Diane Reevely way, using her paints and her technique, which involves a baby wipe. And I'm going to create two backgrounds as I do this, because I'm going to kind of smoosh the stencil through when it's all said and done. And the colors that I'm using today are Rose Quartz and the blush. Like I said, I had this really pretty theme in my mind, and as you'll see, once we put the cards together, I kind of had too much fun coloring in my girls, so we're going to try to all make it work. And I'm just going to take, and usually you can get right off of the top of your lid, and you just take that wipe and you just start to kind of blend it through. And I'm just going to go right on into that barrel like I just did. And over here on this one. So I'm just creating kind of a background. I don't work as fast as she does. I kind of like taking my time. And you know, both of these are going to be different type backgrounds. And then of course the lid on this, there's quite a bit of paint. So I'm going to start off down here. Just rub it on up through. Start down there. There we go. We got some good coverage on that. I do want to blend this through a little bit more. That's what I like about her paint, is it will move. So if I don't like something, I can just do that. All right, and then from here, I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to place it over one. And I'm going to move those away. They're a little bit loud. You could leave one white. That'd be fun too. I'm just going to place one over the stencil like so. Move this off for a second here. And I'm not really worried about lining it up again, because you know I'm going to go kind of over it and trim it up. I'm just going to take some paint and just to kind of start to paint through. And I'm going to dab it more, so because I want it to kind of hold on the top of the stencil, because I want to get a ghost image or whatever that's called off of it. I'm having fun right now, so I can't talk right. This won't give me a real crisp image because paint, as you know, moves. If I were to be rubbing it in like she does, like Diane Reevely does, it would give me a pretty crisp image, but I'm not. I'm just dolloping through like so. And then I'm going to take this one, place it over the top like so, and just smoosh it in. And no, I'm not going to use the back, but it's what I had, so that works. And then I'm just going to remove this one first. And that's a really fun, pretty background. More of a mixed media type piece. And then that one. So you can get two backgrounds with paint and a stencil. Okay, let's move on to the fourth technique. The fourth technique is to use sprays through your stencil. And not only use it through your stencil, but also slap another piece on top like we did with the painting to get two backgrounds. I'm going to be using the Dylusions Ink Spray. I am not a huge fan of a lot of sprays in the sense that I like the look, but I don't use them as much. I do like my Glimmer Mist for a more transparent type coverage, a softer, and then I like my Dylusions for a more opaque type coverage. So I'm going to be using the Dylusions on this, and I'm just going to be starting off with the lighter color first, which is the Rose Quartz. Then we're going to do the blush. And then I'm going to be going heavier on the gray because of the stamp that this is going to be with. And once that's all sprayed out, I'm just going to take my other piece of cardstock and smoosh it in. This isn't going to create a really crisp image. That's not how this works, but it's still going to be pretty cool. So look at that. Look how fun that is. I love that top piece. I usually end up liking the top piece more than the bottom piece. And then there's the bottom piece. So in no time at all, you have two really cool background pieces that would be awesome on a card. All right, let's go on to the fifth technique. This last technique is really simple, and I'm embarrassed to admit that I was like today years old when I learned how to do it. And I was just playing before I decided on what techniques I would show on the video today, and I'm like, what would happen if I just stamped on it? So I'm putting a piece of paper underneath of my stencil, and then my stamped image is going to come through on the top more so than on the bottom. But I'm not going to be putting a lot of force and, rubbing this stamp pad into my stencil simply because it'll ruin my stamp pad. So I'm not thinking there's going to be much of a color transfer on these little areas here. But I don't know, there may be, and I might get two cool backgrounds. When I did this before, I didn't lay a paper down, but I thought, I probably should lay a paper down for the video. So look, see, I'm already getting some through the stencil. So yes, definitely lay a paper down. So what you're going to do is I'm using the Catherine Pooler Coral Cabana, I think is the name of it, ink pad. And I don't want to, rub it in. I want to just tap because I really want to keep my ink pad nice and smooth. I don't want to tear it up. And if you go over and do this, you're going to tear up your pad. And if it's a pad that you don't care about, then by all means do that. Or if it's just for this technique, then by all means do that. But as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that I'm not getting a lot of transfer through, which is fine. That's not the main purpose of this. I just thought it'd be fun to throw a piece of paper down. Now, if you did notice, I went from this way all the way down, and then I went this way over. And I did that because I want it to be a smoother transition. I don't want you to be able to kind of tell where the spongy parts of the stamp are, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that's a pretty good coverage, and her ink usually stays nice and juicy for a while. And I'm just going to take and rub that in like so. So I'm pretty much stamping with the stencil at this point. That's what this is. And yes, I was today years old when I discovered that I could do it, and I had to share. So let's see here. And I am getting my fingers kind of dirty, but that's okay. I can wash them. So let's see what we got. See how pretty that is? I really like that effect. And then this is the under. I probably would want to do this several times with a couple different colors and move the stencil around. So this may be a background in progress. All right, so those are the 5 techniques. I'm going to bring in the cards right now, show you what I created with them. And I did have a couple tips for you when you're creating cards, some things that might be able to give your little pop dots more bang for their buck. So let me show you those. The cards are complete, and I wanted to show you what I did on them. I learned a few things as I was doing this. First of all, as I previously, whoops, things dropped on my floor, sorry, mentioned, I am using the stamp of the month for May from Close to My Heart. It's To My Bestie stamp of the month. And it's this sweet little image of these 2 girls with their arms around each other, celebrating their friendship, their love, their whatever it is, their day, their birthday. And then, you know, I really like these. But what's really special is if you notice right here, there is a spot, and I couldn't figure out, I'm like, why is it broken there? Why is it broken there? It fits perfectly in her hand, this bouquet. And as you can see on this card, I did that. I attached the bouquet with her, and I colored her in. And what I did was I had pop dots. You guys ever get your leftover pop dots like this, and you have just the packaging, and you're like, oh, I'm done, and you throw them away? Don't throw them away. Take your scissors and cut them down to size, and you can still use them as pop dots. All of my cards were pop dotted on my pop dot trash. Okay, so for this card, for all the cards actually, I stamped the image with this Avery L dye ink pad. It is fantastic for water, for alcohol ink, which is what I did the shading in. I really, really like this. Avery L gave me this ink again at Creativation, and I had a couple other companies, and their inks work well too, but there's just something about this, the pad, I don't know, there's something really cool about this ink pad. I'm constantly going to it, and I never heard of it before, so I wanted to share that with you. For the hair, I obviously went through and shaded with some alcohol markers, Copics, and for the black hair, I always do a base of blue first, and then I go over it with darker shades of black, and then I went through these ladies' hair with my white gel pen, and I just did some highlights, and on top of that, I used Stickles. I did Stickles on all the hair of these cards. For the shimmer, I don't know if you can see that. There's a beautiful shimmer on these sweaters. I ran across these Close to My Heart shimmer pins. They are incredible. And I just went ahead and put the shimmer on after. And it's a paintbrush type tip, and it was so much fun. So I am so happy I ended up purchasing all of those because I love them. And then the next card, so this was when we foiled, okay, right? We foiled that. Oh, and if you notice, I can show you this on the next card. So this is my next card, same thing. I used the shimmer on this with alcohol markers first, and then I went through with my Stickles, added some glitter, pop dots again, yada, yada, yada. Now, if you notice, I have a glitter cardstock down, and that is really, really, really hard to adhere to anything, okay? But someone recommended, not even for glitter, they said, use this on your paper crafting. It's wonderful. It's art glitter glue. I bought this in my local craft store, and I also bought the extension tip, which they recommended because there's like a pin in here, but the type of material this pin is made out of doesn't allow the glue to mold. And I guess that's a problem with some people. I go through my glue too fast that it never molds around my pin. But anyway, so if you see this tip, I highly recommend it. It's a fine tip, so you can put gems and things on. But what else is, I noticed that it allowed me to not put on too much glue. This glue is $10, so I want to be a little bit conservative with it. And since it's a finer tip, I was able to get less of an application, which really benefited well. I mean, it works. It's down. It did what it needed to do. So I highly recommend this art glitter glue. So this was the this one was the modeling paste with that blends 2, the 2 in it. And then the next one I did, and this is where we can see the color differences, is this one. And that was the paint technique. And for these little dots, I had to kind of camouflage her bouquet because when I put it through the Brother's Cricut, my scan and cut, not my Cricut, my scan and cut, I don't have a Cricut anymore. My scan and cut, it chopped up my flowers really bad. So I had to kind of camouflage, and I like how it turned out. These little dollops are these new Nuvo Dewdrops. This is in Dragon. This is my favorite one. I love the Dragon. So these are really awesome just for giving that something a little bit extra. And then this is one of my favorites. This is the birthday card that I created. Again, I used those beautiful shimmery, glittery type pins from Close to My Heart, and then alcohol markers, and put the stickles in the hair. But on this, to give this some beautiful shine, I used Close to My Heart's oh, let me grab it. It is liquid glass. It's this. It's liquid glass. Ranger has one that's glossy accents too. It works pretty much the same. Really great product. So I really like that. And it's really nice for adding shine to things like balloons or beverages or whatever. And then last but not least, this one's different because I did just the sentiment. This is that stamped one. And for this, again, pop dot, very simple. I really like how it turned out though. Really cute. And I used the Love Potion Dream Drops on this. So this is just, an idea on how you can use a stencil on a background. I hope it gave you some ideas, and it has inspired you to go play with your stencils maybe in a new way. And also, don't just stop after making one card with your stamp sets. You can get a lot of really cool stuff out of it. So, always play. I love this. I have now, I think, 7 additional backgrounds from shooting this video, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna make more of these cards, and I'm going to sell them on my Facebook. I have a little Facebook shop account called Bets Golden's Creative Shop. So I had so much fun with this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Until next time, happy crafting!